Hi, welcome to the Jump Off Point. I'm Sly.
And I'm Spook.
And Chiefy's back. We'll just beam him in.
Energize.
And this is the Chief.
And we have just finished watching episode 7 of Star Trek Discovery, which is called Magic to Make the Sanest Man Go Mad.
Is that like Latin for fucking shit?
I think we actually said in one of the previous reviews that they're getting prophetic, the titles of these.
Prophetic or pathetic?
I think they're doing both. I'm actually going to... Let's break this into a few parts, this review. First part, Harry Mudd. I'm pretty sure he wasn't like this in the original series.
What a prick.
He's
a mass murderer in this one, it looks like.
Well, but there's an out though with the time thing. But I made the comment earlier on the piece that like he was just a lovable scoundrel in the 2 episodes of the original series he was in. And then straight off the bat in this, he's just a fucker. He's just murdering people left, right, and centre. Now they'll get out of that by saying that the timeline resets, blah blah blah. We'll cover that. But the thing is, what if one of these timelines that he worked in actually worked? He's then left with half the crew dead. You can't use it as an out then.
Well, the second last one, he killed the security officer before Burnham killed herself. He'd killed a couple of people already, so yeah. He'd already done it.
I think he killed my interest in Star Trek.
Oh.
I actually think, they're in a writer's room and they were tossing around ideas and they said, let's throw back...
You were in Winona Ryder's room.
Yeah. Someone said, let's do a couple more ties to the original series. And someone said, how about Harry Mudd? And some writers put his hand up, go, okay.
Who is he?
And they've said, go research it. And whoever's gone to research it has watched Hannibal with Mads Mikkelsen. And said, this is a really interesting character we could play with. Hannibal Mudd. And they've come back and he's just murdered crew time and time and time again. No pun intended. Why would you intend anything with this show? So, that's, again, as has been an ongoing thing with this series, they don't really care about canon. It's just so far departed from what we know. I can understand that. You've only got 50 years of canon. Why would you stick to it?
I'd like to shoot them with a cannon.
Spook angry.
I think he's been watching obviously a bit too much Harry Mudd. It's rubbed off him a bit.
So all right, they've totally departed from canon. So Harry Hannibal, what the fuck he wants to call himself today? Just a total psycho. So now we actually get to the grit of the episode, which is a rip on Star Trek Next Generation's episode Cause and Effect.
Mm-hmm. In this, it was Cause and Defect.
Yep. Where in Cause and Effect, it's a very gradual realization that they're caught in a time loop. It's extremely well done. In this one, I don't know, where they go for about 400 cycles, and each of them took about 12 seconds each, and they fast tracked all the realizations to the point that at some point Michael Burnham just said, "Yes, we are in a time loop, aren't we?" And then started telling everyone else.
The whole thing seemed rushed. Everything in the whole show seemed rushed. It didn't matter whether it was the 400 time loops, the silly relationship with Burnham and security officer 1. Tyler, which that seemed rushed. Burnham's whole realization that she's got human feelings is all rushed. The last couple of episodes.
Can we just step back?
You can't develop anything.
Who is this character, by the way, Michael Burnham? It's like they're still playing on this Vulcan. I have these Vulcan constrictions, even though we've seen her emote, we've seen her make emotional decisions, we've seen her fucking all over the place, but apparently she's still battling with her Vulcan side.
Well, she did say it's complicated.
It is complicated.
That'll let you get out of go, freak out.
That all lets you get out of everything, doesn't it?
But something else occurred to me. In this episode, Stamets, the engineer who's tied into the spoof drive, as we call it, he's the one that stands outside the cycle and realizes that something isn't. He doesn't actually even realize something isn't right. He just knows. And in the second repetition, he just comes to him straight away and goes, "Hey, we're in a time loop!" Oh God! But I think that's I think the way they try to establish it, that's like miles down. That's the 15th time loop or something. Looking at this episode, I would have thought that the better person to be aware of the time loop,
with RoboCop on the bridge,
close, but would have been Saru. Because Saru has a shit ganglia. So surely that should have been rising repeatedly through this episode. It didn't. But surely that would have been the better way to work out, ooh, my shit ganglia has gone up. I don't know why. And then to work in some sort of empathic connection.
The issue is that whoever Stamets, everything they did in that last one, he should have done in about the third time it ever happened.
I
He gone to him and just, like you were saying, it's like, said, look, this is what's happening. This is what we need to do. This is Harry Mudd. He's taking over.
Let me put something else to you. The engineer connected to the spoof drive, who could probably jump out of his loop in 3 seconds by hooking himself into the drive and just jumping out of his storyline, jumping the whole shit out of his storyline. That never occurred to him. It was like, let me rave and rant at people until they think
jumped out of the episode, maybe. Jumped out of the whole series.
That's why I said Saru would have been a better choice. But it just, as you said, I mean, it was just so fast-tracked. Every cycle was fast-tracked. And, I don't know, about the second half of the episode, it was like everyone was completely aware what was going on, but they were just powerless to stop it. And I'll tell you what's really fucking objectionable about this episode, and there's a lot of swearing, so we've got to apologise for that, but this fucking show inspires it, is Harry Mudd's killed them all umpteen times, killed them in painful, agonising ways, and at the end, they turn him over to someone else. Let's not arrest him or put him in jail or in the brig. Of course, in the brig in this, he'd probably be in the mess eating lunch with him next episode. But
or you give him the captaincy of the ship.
Let's just hand him over to these people because he's not dangerous at all. You know. All right. So I mean, it was spooky. When you loved this episode, you were scowling at it the whole way through.
I just want to say, time crystal. Fucking time crystal.
That's fourth dimensional race must have worked out how to make it,
That's
work.
the
time
best
crystal.
you can come up with. A fucking time crystal. No explanation.
The dark crystal.
When was the dark crystal?
Actually,
a fourth dimensional race invented a time crystal, and he got what the fuck?
No, they perfected the technology.
Did they what?
They perfected the technology that there was a time crystal and shit like that. What I really like was apparently in the time that Tyler was in the Klingon brig with Harry Mudd. Harry Mudd was going, I have a time crystal.
He didn't say a time crystal. I've got I don't know, whatever the hell he was saying.
Equilibrium, something.
Techno-babble, equilibrium, techno-babble. And then straight away, Burnham goes, time crystal. That's what it is.
That
Four-dimensional.
was
I know all these things straight off the top of my head.
What should we talk about? Well, where are you from? I'm from here. Where are you from? I'm from over there. Now, here's my nefarious plans. Let me explain them all fucking to you.
How did he get out? That's the other thing. How the hell did he get out of prison?
Does anyone really care at this point?
He's selling whatever the fuck he was selling, the spoof drive to the Klingons. So presumably under that guise, they let him out.
Yeah, because I'm in prison and been for 7 months saying, I can get you this spoof drive.
He was there longer though, wasn't he?
Let me out.
Somehow from there, we're told that the giant space whale squid or whatever the fuck it is an incredibly rare phenomenon to come across. He not only manages to find one, he manages to throw it in front of the fucking Discovery.
And put his ship inside it.
And teleport or beam inside it.
And when they scanned it, no one picked up this big foreign object inside the ship.
What did the space whale eat this morning?
Oh my God.
That is a big fucking salada in there.
This show, I think you declared it best, Spooky. This show is irredeemable. This episode in the fan groups on Facebook was getting rave reviews. They were saying, it's such fun. It was such a fun episode.
Yeah, a lot of those people, though, like Voyager.
As you're saying, Spook, Voyager's brilliant compared to this thing.
But I mean, I'm looking at this episode, and you have fun episodes in series. Next Gen did it; they did the quirky episodes. All the Treks have done quirky episodes. You go back to like Buffy; they did their quirky episodes. And this quirky episode is, let me see how many different ways I can kill people, and we'll make it fun. Let's just make it fun.
Yeah, it really. You look back to cause and effect, and cause and effects compared to
not compared to
it is a really well written story. The fact that every time that they go through that time loop, they're a little bit more aware, but there's no rush. The pacing of that episode,
the eeriness as they pick up,
the same amount of time as
just
this.
Subtle little things that they pick up that makes them think that there's something amiss. This was just the fucking. And throwing shit all over the place and hoping it sticks. It's just a really bad way, I would have thought, to write a fucking TV show.
They're finding ways. I mean, the really good thing about cause and effect is they use the poker game as an anchor as to how things come. Here they tried to use the disco. Fucking, there's a disco in space.
Yeah, but they wear disco t-shirts to advertise.
Yeah,
And they've got the lighting, as you can see from the outside. It's got the lights happening outside the ship.
But those lights where they were firing photons at themselves.
But you just go back to next gen. They use the poker game, and that poker game was a staple of that series. Like they'd always have that poker game going. But in that one, there was things happening in the cards. Like they were all getting free of the kinds at one stage. So there was things happening within that poker game which started to trigger them to the awareness. Hang on, there's something not quite right. Here they use the disco as an anchor, but there's nothing in the disco that happens. Like no one sort of goes up to like going, I was going to ask you to dance, but you're going to say no, aren't you? Because they had that. There's none of that repetition and repetitional awareness. It's just she has, or they all have a bit more knowledge. Stamets runs up in one of the discos and talks to Burnham. So there's none of that sort of awareness going on. It's just because Stamets is this Deus Ex Machina standing outside the storyline, and he's delivering all the drive for why they become aware to this going on. It's just a really cheap out. It's just like saying, well, we're going to have this time loop, but you know what? One guy's not going to be subject to it, and he'll be the one that gets them aware. It's like, well, that's pretty soft, isn't it?
You go back, the easiest way to fix this is Stamets just went to the bridge and said, don't beam that thing on there because it's got a ship inside it. That's the thing. How hard is it to stop that thing? Because he had plenty of time to get to the bridge and tell the captain, don't do this because in there is Harry Mudd and the captain knows Harry Mudd. In there is Harry Mudd and he's going to kill everyone.
So you establish in this fucking show with the time crystal up Mudd's clacker, he can go and fucking reset and learn progressively each time because he's outside of that time loop. It's the same fucking thing for Stannis.
That's right.
He's armed with the same fucking weapon that Mudd's using, except Mudd uses it well. Stamets
raves at people and rants and
does things that are just
what he's doing.
And actually, can we go just back? Okay, so we see the first cycle of this happening, and the ship blows up, and it resets. And then Burnham and Ad are walking through the hallway, the corridor, and Stamets comes up and rants and raves at her. And Stamets' partner, the doctor, who apparently, I don't know, he's not trained to see that, hang on, he's acting a little bit weirdly. He doesn't notice anything wrong in his partner's behaviour.
No, no one did. No one did, though.
But I'm saying...
Because he normally dances with Burnham in the middle of the corridor just before everyone dies,
But the thing is, Stamets' partner is a doctor. If someone should notice something going wrong, you'd think it's a doctor. Apparently, he doesn't notice. He disappeared in this episode, you notice? He just went, like about 10 minutes in. It was like 2 different people, or 4 different people, or maybe like had a writer for each cycle so no one actually consulted one another on what they were doing. But it just really felt like it was so disconnected as to the way the whole episode evolved and how they got from point A to point B to point C. It was just really ridiculously driven. I don't know how anyone could actually think this was a good episode. I actually rate this one up there with its worst episodes, and that's saying...
Totally agree. This is the worst by far. But you look at... again, we'll keep harping back to cause and effect because everyone kept drawing a parallel to this. The fact is, when the time loop resets, everybody kept living the same discussions, same moments, up till the point when there was a realisation that was a little bit different. The first fucking time loop reset in this, it was like everybody reset and did the opposite of what they did. But for what reason? Why would they be doing things differently? The time's gone back to where it was. Why would they say something? Why would they do something differently?
Like I said, Stamets should have just went to the captain, that the first thing, and say, don't beam it on board. It's easy to stop.
Shoot the fucker.
Why does he got to go through this whole rigmarole so that...
Not the fucker.
Play some whale music, whatever. He's got an easy way out? And that's the problem with this whole episode.
It's probably the whole series.
Well, just this episode. It was irrelevant. The easiest way to stop it was not bring the squid on board. And Zamet could have had the influence with the captain to say, don't bring it on board, or have 400 security guards around them when they beam it on board because Harry Mudd's there. And the captain's met Harry Mudd. He'll know that there's something shifty that could have gone on. So it's easy to stop this episode at minute 2,
and that's
which they probably what it should have done, but,
Any fucking time in all the years I've been watching Trek, when they find an anomaly that sits inside the fucking the matter stream when they beam something in, the computer alerts them. This thing fucking beamed a whale in, beamed the fucking ship in, beamed Mudd in, didn't detect anything fucking
had whatever
out of the
was
norm.
in the ship as well, whatever.
Or maybe that was an
Crystal.
upgrade that came in with later series. Maybe I'm being too harsh in this fucking show.
I don't think you can be too harsh.
The show just treats its audience so fucking stupid.
That's
it
the problem.
Trek always had at least tried to explain why things happened. You walked away from an episode of old Trek thinking that made sense in a silly. And look, they techno-babbled away a lot of this. This thing doesn't even fucking try to explain anything. It just jumps from scene to scene to scene and says, well, if you got it, good. If you didn't, doesn't really fucking matter because we're now going off to this place.
And we don't care if there's no logic in it. We're just going to do it.
There's no caring about whether it makes sense.
Well, it really plays like the JJ Treks in that regard. It just,
Yeah.
There's no... I mean... Yeah, I go on about bloody the original JJ Trek where Kirk's marooned on a planet, gets chased by a space monster, and runs into a cave, and there's Leonard Nimoy Spock, and it's like in all this fucking world, you ran into one cave that has
universe,
Spock.
not world, universe.
Yeah. You know, and it's like
that film should have been called Star Trek Convenience.
Yeah, and it's like you look at that and you think, come on, that's just too big a leap. And for me, if you have, you can have coincidences in life, you can have sort of things like that, but in the story, like that's just too bizarre. There's no way you can believe it. And this is plotted really similarly. It's just, let's push it from point A to point B. It doesn't really matter if it doesn't make sense, as long as it looks fucking relatively pretty, because then people will just switch off. This show is, I don't know. I mean, we were saying it beforehand. You know, we've actually this episode 7 review is a little bit late because we're waiting for the Chief to come back from Asgard, but it's. We felt no compunction to actually go watch it with any, you know, just, and, you know, you're talking to like people who are nerds who used to just love the original series, who love Next Gen, love DS9, who were desperate to watch all this Trek, you know, and we still go out and pay lots of money to watch the movies and all that, knowing they're probably not going to be good. But this show, within 7 episodes, has totally fucking discouraged us, disabused us. I mean, you know, it's to paraphrase Bones. According to myth, Star Trek Voyager killed Star Trek in 7 seasons. Watch out! We can do it for you in 7 episodes now. This series is fucked. How can anyone like it? Kurtzman, would you care to step outside? Jeez, it's so bad. It's so badly written.
Let's beat Kurtzman out.
Oh.
Don't put coordinates in, just fucking punch the screen. Here's where he ends up.
I mean, the really disappointing thing is some of the names associated with, I mean, Brian Fuller's gone now. I mean, I don't know, Nicholas Mayer's probably just collecting a...
Jesus, that surely was just there as a name that we all...
Starting it
An
up.
endorsement,
That's just there to start it up and get people on board.
And Roddenberry's son's there. It's just like, surely... Aren't people watching this and realising how bad it is?
Clearly not.
No, obviously it's Trek made by committee of non-Trekkers.
It's been renewed for a second season as well.
Oh, so. They're obviously not watching it either.
No.
I mean, it really disappoints me how, you know, how poorly plotted it is. And you can look at everything else and think, okay, you know, who cares if it's dark, it's gritty, it's warmongering or whatever. But how poorly plotted it is to advance the story.
That's endemic of all films these days out of Hollywood. Everything's poorly plotted. All the big movies, they're all poorly plotted. They've got holes you can drive Discovery through. They're that big.
And what's her name? Ingmar Bergman. She's supposed to be the protagonist of this show. Do you feel anything for her? Michael Berman. Burnham, whatever.
Michael Burner.
You don't care about her. I don't care about her. No, I don't give a fuck what she does.
I do find, you know, as a character, she really... Because she's so frenzied with her emotional responses, you know, they give her the Vulcan phrases. She says fascinating. In episode, she said intriguing. But then she's so extremely over the top. You just look at her and think, I can't connect to you. You really are just... all over the place. And it's bizarre that, you know, you get characters in Trek like Spock in the past and Data and Odo, like all the non-human characters, and you have more connection to them because they're trying to understand humanity. This one is all over it, exploring it with all her range of emotional responses, and yet she'll turn around and go, oh, well, it's complicated. I don't actually understand what the fuck I'm feeling. Or
well, how are we supposed to fucking understand?
Surely you would just be screening her out. And so let me just throw back to a couple of little things too. One of the cycles during the disco, Stamets runs up and says to Tilly, oh, there's some really hot guy there. He plays in the band, and she runs off. You know what? You're meant to be creating strong female characters, and in that response, she is just a fucking vapid moron if she's going to run off for some hot guy because he's in the band. Who is writing this? And the other bit was bloody Tyler at the start giving a speech to the 10,000 fallen Starfleet, of which Burnham was responsible for 8,000 of them. And then he goes and chats to her. Hey, Burnham, how's it going? Oh, well, yeah.
Killed anyone lately?
Well, apparently it's the only way you get to serve.
Small talk.
Yeah, apparently it's the only way you get to serve on this ship. I'm surprised they did not give Mart an appointment. I'm surprised that the episode didn't end with Lorca saying, I like your style. How about we put you in a science position? Exploring new ways to kill people. Oh, no, I don't really think there's probably much more we can talk about this episode.
There's one thing I want to bring up, and this is just, again, stupid.
No.
Mud made a point of those little fucking grapes that he threw at people and it vaporised them as being terrible. How is that any fucking worse than a phaser set to kill that destroys everyone in the same? The only thing is that when you were shot with a phaser and you disintegrated in previous episodes, you vanished in a green puff of logic. In this one, because you got hit with the purple grape, you disappeared in a purple puff of logic. But apparently this one's fucking worse.
So you know what
I don't know how it can be worse because you die in about 3 seconds, whereas if you've been
shot, show people killed in similar ways. Does it really matter how you fucking describe it?
You can only imagine the pain's meant to be worse, but I mean, in something like that, it'd be a lot better if the purple grape disintegrated them in 25 seconds. And we actually saw a very gradual disintegration while the person's screaming and all that. That would, okay, I can understand why that's painful. But who uses logic in this show? I mean, the only people who use logic are apparently the Vulcans, who have logic extremists.
It just shows, just about, someone had a snippet of a good idea, and then there's just no application beyond that. It's just like, throw a fucking grape at them and watch them vaporise.
But I mean, that whole thing's stupid, because that first time Mud had the grapes, some incidental crew member behind him tried to charge him, and then Mud turned around and stopped him. I was like, okay.
With the grape in front of him.
Yeah, the grape in front, which is fine. But then Burnham and that came in and charged him with guns, and then Mud was distracted by them. And you think, okay, now this is the time to rush him. You're right behind. Yeah. You are 1 foot behind him.
That's a point, and we're not fucking finished. Is that Mud's living this over and over again and mapping out everybody's movements and where they're going to be, so he knows what he needs to do to progress his knowledge and his experience inside the ship. And yet, the second fucking time they moved, everybody did everything differently. So where's his fucking knowledge useful? If every time the loop resets, and we saw it reset, and everything was always fucking different, how does that advantage Mud?
You'd think Mud would realise that there's 4 people in the whole ship that do something differently in his whole 400 times that he's done it. So Burnham, was it the Zamet's, the security? Yeah, they're the 4 people that do something differently every time. So you think, well, they're actually probably aware of it. I've got to do something about them because they're the ones that are doing something differently somewhere along the line. But no, it's just. But you've got to finish this in 2 minutes. And there's no logic in the way that you.
I mean, I think if you just look at the premise that he has a time crystal,
why did it disappear?
No, I think he had to destroy it so he could get out of the.
So he can get another time crystal, can he?
No. I think the time crystal kept resetting him, but then when he needed to actually step out of that cycle, he had to destroy it so he could enter the.
So, but can he get another one?
I don't know how available they are.
At the end, the time crystal
probably get them on Amazon.
Just vanished.
That's
so at the end, when you hit the end of the, but he didn't reset or do. He did something on the arm wristlet thing to make it. I don't fucking.
I don't know. It disappeared and whatever.
But at the end, when he said, "Look, I'm happy with this fucking iteration," it vanished.
No.
So how would he know how all this fucking stuff works?
No, I'm guessing...
he's got to have more than one.
So the 4D aliens printed some 4D instructions?
I'm assuming, like, he had the time crystal. While the time crystal was intact, he kept playing this same half hour over and over and over and over and over. But when he needed to step out of that time, that repetition...
So theoretically, the squid should still be there, and his whole time ship crap, whatever, should still be sitting in
I tell you, that fucking whale is incredibly comfortable with an entire fucking ship in its gut.
I think it was in its
Jesus, I have a bad olive, I fucking shit blood. This thing has a fucking entire spaceship in its stomach. It just sits there going... And that fucking Tilly was there with the fucking scanner. I don't fucking see shit. There's nothing wrong here. Wouldn't mind banging a fucking band member, though.
That was a security guard, wasn't it? She was a bang security guard too, didn't she?
Who cares? I tell you what, we're almost at 30 minutes. My time crystal's about to reset, and then we'll do the review over again.
I think we need to stop this one.
All right. That's pretty much finished. But I got a question for I got a question for the Chief. All right, so you caught up on episode 6. Any thoughts? Quick thoughts about episode 6, which was about
Yeah, what
Something.
Basically, why do they bring Sarek out? Why do they bring Spock out? Why do they bring all these people out? Can't they do anything original in any way, shape, or fucking form?
I think that sums it up. we could have actually made last week's review 4 minutes long.
All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to watch episode 8. I think the title of that is
Why the
Who
fuck?
Gives a Shit?
Why the fuck bother?
And people probably wonder,
Glutton for punishment? That one.
just spend a few minutes, because I imagine if you're a listener, you'd be going, why do these guys even bother watching if they're just going to shit on it?
Because we're hope. We live in hope.
I need my pain. I want my pain.
But I think the Chief sums up. We live in hope. Gonna be honest,
Because we're 30 years or whatever of watching Star Trek,
50,
and
58
we live in hope that it's going to get better somewhere along the line.
we're 280 minutes in. This is not going to improve. We'll stick with it and see it through. But look, really,
Look, I gave Voyager 3 seasons or 3.5 seasons. I can give this one some. I don't know how long, but some.
it's a shorter season, which is always going to be a positive, particularly in this series. Hopefully, it gets shortened to 8 episodes, but unfortunately, it won't be. Spook, any final thoughts?
Get me out of here.
Any jump off point in this?
Pretty much post credits.
No, it was that. It was the pre-credits. That whole pre-credit summary recap thing.
All right.
And we said, "What the hell was that?"
This is at the time, if you come in new to the show, and this was what the pre-credit montage should be about, it's to fill you in. If you come in fresh to the show, I thought, well, fucking, I've had my leg amputated today without anaesthetic. I need more pain in my life. I'm going to watch Star Trek episode, what is it, 6 or 7 or what the fuck we're up to. Hang on, this should explain what's going on. What the fuck does any of that mean? Does that mean that I've watched this fucking show? It just jumps around. Nothing's explained. It's just like, just throw some montage bits at the screen and everything
Need
will be
a
good.
montage.
Just get that fucking opening song going and we'll be
Sing it.
excited. It's a new episode of Star Trek. Fucking hell! It's a time crystal.
That's enough about time crystals.
I got that time crystal explanation is quite possibly the worst. I mean,
No, it's not as bad as the dead body flying around the windows in episode 3. I mean, that just takes the cake.
Oh,
No,
that's
but
comedy. At least that was funny.
that wasn't incidental. This was actually a plot driver. I mean, it was,
But that was integral in the.
but it was
that show.
Yeah, but I mean, the plot was going on anyway. This actually, they needed that information for the plot. Where, Burnham said, a time crystal. Some fourth dimensional race must have perfected the technology. Not Kurtzman, though. All right, so we're going to sign off on this one as we're approaching the 30-minute mark, and we're about to blow up. Particularly Spookies.
And we need more beer.
We need,
This episode and this next one better be fucking good.
and that's why we watch Star Trek. He's still thinking it could be good. 7 episodes.
He did watch it, the original 11 times. didn't he?
The original J.J.
The
Abrams
original
one.
JJ Trek 11 times.
That was an experiment.
Has it finished?
No. Well, watching it has.
Well, I guess that's a story for another time.
All right.
All right, so we'll be back. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks.